The Champions League today is a billion-dollar spectacle, but this tournament almost didn't happen. UEFA rejected it, clubs were skeptical, and the prize, a trophy made from silver that nobody wanted. So how did it go from a rejected idea to the most watched club competition in the world? Let's rewind to the beginning. So, it's 1955. Europe is still rebuilding from the ashes of World War II. Football isn't the billion-dollar industry we know today. It's a game played on muddy pitches, with players who often had day jobs as plumbers, teachers, or factory workers. There's no Champions League, no global TV deals, and no superstar salaries. But there's one man with a vision, Gabriel Hanot, a French journalist working for L'Équipe. Hanot had seen something that lit a fire in him. On December 13th, 1954, England's Wolverhampton Wanderers had beaten Hungary's Honvéd in a friendly match. The English press went wild, calling Wolves the champions of the world. Hanot wasn't having it. He knew football was bigger than just one country. He wanted a tournament that would pit Europe's best against each other. But UEFA, football's governing body, wasn't convinced. They thought it was too risky, too expensive, and too soon after the war. So, what did Hanot do? He rebelled and went around them. Along with his colleague Jacques Ferrand, he invited 16 of Europe's top clubs to a secret meeting in Paris. No prize money, no guarantees, just a chance to make history. And so, the European Cup was born. The first match kicked off on September 4th, 1955, between Sporting CP and Partizan Belgrade. The stadiums were modest, the travel was grueling, and the stakes were purely about pride. But something magical happened. Fans across the continent tuned in, and the tournament quickly became a symbol of hope and unity in a divided Europe. From the first goal scored by João Martins to Real Madrid's historic 5-year dominance, the European Cup, and later the Champions League, has given us moments that define the sport. But before the European Cup, there were other tournaments that tried and failed. What were they, and how did they inspire Hanot's vision? The idea of a pan-European football tournament didn't come out of nowhere. In fact, it was built on the shoulders of earlier competitions that tried, and often failed, to unite the continent. Let's rewind to 1895, when Sunderland, an English club, faced Scotland's Hearts in a match billed as the World Championship. It was a bold claim, but it planted the seed for something bigger. Fast forward to the 1920s and 1930s, and you'll find the Metropa Cup, a tournament for Central European clubs like Austria's Rapid Vienna and Hungary's Ferencváros. It was a hit, but World War II brought it to a halt. After the war, the Latin Cup emerged, featuring teams from France, Italy, Spain, and Portugal. These tournaments were popular, but they were regional, limited to specific parts of Europe. Then came the moment that changed everything. In 1953, Wolverhampton Wanderers, an English club, faced Hungary's Honvéd in a friendly match. Wolves won 3-2, and the English press declared them champions of the world. Gabriel Hanot, the French journalist we mentioned earlier, was furious. He knew Honvéd wasn't even Hungary's best team. Ferenc Puskás and several stars were missing. Hanot saw an opportunity. If clubs from different countries could compete in friendlies, why not create a formal tournament to decide Europe's best? But Hanot didn't stop there. He looked across the Atlantic for inspiration. In 1948, South America had launched the Campeonato Sudamericano de Campeones, a tournament for continental champions. It was a success, and Hanot believed Europe could do the same. The final piece of the puzzle came from an unlikely source: politics. Post-war Europe was divided, but football had the power to bring people together. Hanot saw the European Cup as more than just a competition. It was a way to heal wounds and build bridges. But UEFA's rejected their idea. Hanot and Ferrand faced an uphill battle. They didn't back down. So what happened next? In 1955, UEFA wasn't ready to take a gamble on Hanot's vision. They thought the idea of a European tournament was too ambitious, too expensive, and too risky. But Hanot and Ferrand weren't about to let bureaucracy stand in the way of history. They bypassed association entirely and went straight to the clubs. On April 2nd, 1955, representatives from 16 of Europe's top teams gathered in Paris. The meeting wasn't held in a fancy boardroom. It was in a modest hotel. The clubs weren't promised prize money or glory. They were simply asked to believe in the idea of a continental competition, and believe they did. The inaugural tournament kicked off on September 4th, 1955, with Sporting CP facing Partizan Belgrade in Lisbon. The match ended in a thrilling 3-3 draw, with João Martins scoring the first goal in European Cup history. It was a humble beginning, but it marked the start of something extraordinary. Among the 16 teams were giants like Real Madrid, Stade de Reims, and AC Milan, but there were also underdogs like Hibernian from Scotland. Hibernians included inclusion was particularly special. They weren't even Scottish champions that year, but their attacking style had caught Hanot's eye. Real Madrid, led by the legendary Alfredo Di Stefano, quickly emerged as the team to beat. Their blend of skill, strategy, and sheer determination set the standard for the competition. But it wasn't just about the football. The European Cup became a symbol of unity in a continent still recovering from war. Teams travelled by bus and train, often crossing borders that had been closed just a decade earlier. The tournament's format was simple: straight knockout rounds, home and away legs, with the winner advancing. There were no group stages, no seeding, and no safety nets. Every match was do or die, and that's what made it so thrilling. By the time the final rolled around in June 1956, the European Cup had already captured the imagination of fans across the continent. But the first final wasn't just a match, it was a battle of styles, a clash of cultures, and the birth of a dynasty. What happened that day in Paris? Before we dive in, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more stories like this. Okay, so it's June 13th, 1956, the Parc des Princes in Paris, Real Madrid versus Stade de Reims. The stage was set. After months of grueling travel, dramatic comebacks, and unforgettable moments, the inaugural European Cup reached its climax. Real Madrid, the Spanish giants, faced Stade de Reims, the French champions, in a match that would define the tournament's legacy. Reims came out swinging. Within the first 10 minutes, they were 2-0 up, thanks to goals from Michel Leblanc and Jean Vincent. The French side played with flair and confidence, their quick passing and attacking style leaving Madrid stunned. But Real Madrid wasn't about to let the trophy slip away. Alfredo Di Stefano, the Argentina maestro, pulled one back with a clinical finish. Then, Hector Real equalised just before halftime. The momentum had shifted, and Madrid came out firing in the second half. Marquitos put them ahead, and Real sealed the deal with a fourth goal. Reims fought back with a late strike from Michel Hidalgo, but it wasn't enough. The final score, 4-3 to Real Madrid. The match wasn't just a victory for Madrid, it was a victory for football. The 35,000 fans at the Parc des Princes witnessed a game that had everything: drama, skill, and heart. Di Stefano was the star, but it was a team effort. From Francisco Gento's blistering runs on the wing to Miguel Munoz's composure in midfield, Madrid showed why they were destined for greatness. For Reims, it was a heartbreaking loss, but their journey was no less remarkable. Led by Raymond Kopa, who would later join Madrid, they played with a style and grace that won them fans across Europe. Their run to the final proved that the European Cup wasn't just about the big names. It was about passion, determination, and the love of the game. The victory marked the beginning of Real Madrid's dominance. They would go on to win the next 4 European Cups, a record that still stands today. But more than that, the first final set the tone for what the tournament would become, a celebration of football at its finest. The European Cup was a success from the start, but it wasn't perfect. Over the decades, it evolved, expanding its reach, changing its format, and becoming the global phenomenon we know today as the UEFA Champions League. How did it transform from a simple knockout tournament to the spectacle it is now? The European Cup's early years were defined by simplicity: knockout rounds, home and away legs, and a single winner crowned at the end. But as football grew in popularity, so did the need for change. By the 1990s, the tournament was ready for a new chapter. In 1992, UEFA rebranded the competition as the UEFA Champions League. The changes were more than just cosmetic. The introduction of a group stage meant more matches, more drama, and more opportunities for underdogs to shine. Teams no longer had to win their domestic league to qualify. Second, third, and even fourth place finishers could now compete. The first Champions League final in 1993 saw Marseille defeat AC Milan 1-0, becoming the first French club to win the tournament. But their victory was later tainted by scandal, as it was revealed that Marseille's president had bribed opponents in domestic matches. Despite the controversy, the Champions League continued to grow. The tournament's format wasn't the only thing that changed. The rise of television and commercial partnerships turned the Champions League into a global spectacle. Iconic moments, like Zinedine Zidane's volley in the 2002 final or Liverpool's miraculous comeback in 2005, became part of football folklore. But with growth came criticism. Some fans argued that the Champions League had become too commercialized, favoring big clubs with deep pockets over smaller teams with heart. The introduction of seeding and financial rewards for consistent performers only widened the gap. Yet the essence of the competition remained the same: a stage for the best players, the most passionate fans, and the most unforgettable moments. From the underdog stories of Porto in 2004 to Chelsea in 2012 to the dominance of Barcelona and Bayern Munich, the Champions League has given us everything that makes football beautiful. Today, the Champions League is a far cry from its humble beginnings. What started as a risky experiment in 1955 has become a global phenomenon, watched by millions and celebrated as the pinnacle of club football. It's a tournament that has given us legends like Di Stefano, Cruyff, Messi, and Ronaldo, and moments that will be remembered for generations. But beyond the glitz and glamour, the Champions League is a testament to the power of football to bring people together. In its early years, it helped heal a continent divided by war. Today, it bridges cultures, languages, and borders, uniting fans from all walks of life under one anthem. From a French journalist's bold idea to the biggest stage in club football, the UEFA Champions League has come a long way. But its journey isn't just about trophies and records, it's about the stories, the passion, and the moments that unite us all. What's your favourite Champions League moment? Let us know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this journey through the origins of the Champions League, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more football history. If you're craving more, check out our video on which stadium is better: Santiago Bernabeu or Camp Nou. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.